Celtic Connections.
I was Catholic, but I wasn't fully Catholic in a way. I was still struggling, still holding on to all this kind of New Age stuff. It's just very, very hard to dislodge it when you've been with it that long. Ireland really began to speak to me and to make me really think about the sacraments and really make me think about the power of the sacraments and what the people here had had. But I think really what happened is that I needed to spend some time in France, and I ended up going on pilgrimage numerous times to a little town called Paray-le-Monial. And the significance of that town is that in 1673, St. Margaret Mary Alacoque saw the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I want to say something that I think will actually bring the whole New Age thing together, because what I also saw in Paray while meditating on what had happened there, the vision of the bleeding, wounded Sacred Heart of Jesus, is that, so we've been talking about how New Agers have this reinvented Christ, how Theosophy has this Christ who is Eastern, basically. And I've been saying how, so much of my spirituality had been about detachment, about really trying to be aloof. And in Paray, you're confronted with a spirituality that is just the opposite. You're seeing that God's heart is wounded. Christianity is actually about suffering. It's not, so I mentioned like the power of now, Eckhart Tolle, like the whole thing he's trying to say there is transcend suffering. You really don't need to do this anymore.
This is the New Age guy.
This is a New Age guy, but it was all through the Theosophy I read. I feel like it's a subtle thread all through the New Age. That this kind of idea of transcending suffering, detaching, the power to overcome these things. And there's something at the heart of the church that is completely different. It is the wounded Christ who suffers with the world. In Paray, the message is that Christ is suffering with us.
Because I was going to ask you, what was it that particularly drew you to the Sacred Heart?
Yeah, well, we actually ended up there really providentially. We found that it was such an incredible place that we just kept going back and back and back. My prayer life in that chapel is just an incredible place on earth.
But the spirituality, if I can say it that way, of the Sacred Heart is, we're familiar with the image of our Lord.
Yes.
And we can see his heart. This heart who has suffered so much for men.
Yes.
And of course, the evidence of God's heart and love is his passion.
Yes.
Is that what it was that was drawing you in the sense of suffering? The passion, love that gives all for the beloved.
Yes, I realized again it was a deeper and deeper journey. It was the opposite, the absolute opposite of my Eastern spirituality. So in the East you get these images of the sort of smiling, transcendent Buddha, and there's a complete difference between that and Christ crucified.